I don't know what happened, but
Nope, me
yep,
neither.
our
Sound
intro
was real
failed.
weird. So, sorry about that intro. Normally at this point, I would say aloha, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Uh,
Let's do it. Let's do it again. Of course, it doesn't play again. All right. I just tried. I tried, but here we go.
this freaking guy.
This guy.
Friends, Romans, homeowners, lend me your ears. Why would I say homeowners? What a weird word to say that is
Because
apropos
I
of
told
nothing.
you earlier today that I just became one.
That's true. That's why I was thinking about it. It's almost
Yeah.
as if I threw that out there so you could give the world your good news.
And I just did. So there we go.
There you go. Nate joining the ranks. He's got a place of his own. I did that
Or
like
will in a
9 years
month.
ago. Man, does it feel good. Oh yeah, you got that whole thing to that time period to close it all down, but it's happening. These things happen slowly. Speaking of which, tag team breakups. Sometimes they happen really slowly. It took my guy here on the shirt like a month or two to kick his buddy through a barbershop window. But Zarya seems like she doesn't know where a barbershop window is. She needs to find a barbershop window and kick Sol Ruka through it
Yep.
because they have been breaking up for a very, very long time. Your main event was Zarya and Sol Ruka against Ren Sinclair and Kendall Gray. This one was where if you scored the pin, then you are the next challenger for the women's NXT championship. This one went 12-27. It was a pretty good. And Sol Ruka wins this one. Really fun sub story that Kendall and Ren were fully on board with the other person winning if it was their time to do so. Kendall even hesitating to tag into the match and making sure that Ren was cool with her taking over on offense. I thought that was a beautiful touch, especially in contrast with Zarya and Sol Ruka fighting it out. And Zarya thinking, everybody thinking they had a pin at some point. Zarya not knowing that Sol had been tagged in referee Derek something pants was uncool here. He said that was a tag, even though it wasn't. But that made for a very strong finish where Sol Ruka got the pin. Wasn't even 100% sure she was legal, and I think Zarya was supposed to be making a cover at the same time too, but Ren didn't land on her back, so she couldn't cover her. So Zarya instead looked on angrily as Sol Ruka scored the pin. So Sol will get yet another chance, which is what Zarya is going crazy about. I just thought they really told this story well. Yes, this story is taking a long time, and we thought maybe for a minute they weren't even going to tell it anymore, but they are. And I will say that insofar that it's taking so long, they are doing some real good stuff telling it, and to the point where there was an NXT championship match on this show, and I don't doubt for a second that the right match was in the main event because Zarya and Sol Ruka have this thing going. So I'm Kelly Wells. You can find me on social media at Spooky Milk or at spookymilk.games. Nate, who are you, and what did you think of this main event?
Nate Lindberg. You can find me at natelindberg.com. This was a great main event. I do have to say, this made me chuckle. Soul hit a no snatcher at the end. That was by far the worst Soul snatcher I've ever seen, but mistimings happen, so whatever. I'm just glad everybody's okay. It looked like she came down, like she could have come down wrong on like Kendall Gray's neck or something like that. So, but is what it is. Other than that, I don't want to harp on that too much, but other than that, I think it was, like you said, it was a fantastic match, great storytelling. This was actually a finish. Well, okay, let me take that back, because I was going to say this is a finish I didn't anticipate, but the way that I interpreted the finish was they both made the pin. Zarya thinking she was making it on the legal purse or whatever. and the ref just didn't see it. And then that was going to be the story next week. Zarya tries to make the case for, hey, we both pinned, and they continue that story. So I'll have to go back, I guess, and look at it. But that was the way that I was interpreting it anyway. Um, that said, if that is what they're doing, that wasn't a finish that I anticipated at all. I was kind of thinking, one was going to cost the other the title, or not the title, the chance at the title match. Um, or there was going to be some sort of shenanigans, maybe, Soul hits a Soul Snatcher and then Zarya shoves her off or something. That was kind of what I was anticipating. But I'm glad they didn't go that way, because that was way, way, way too predictable. You kind of knew going into this match that there was a very slim chance that either one of the two in Ren QCC, Kendall Gray or Ren Sinclair, would actually win. There was that small chance, maybe, but with the story being so focused on Zarya and Sol Ruca, the only way that I saw that, I didn't see one of them winning, rather Sol or Zarya winning, was if one of them cost the other the opportunity and it gave Kendall, presumably Kendall, not Ren, an opportunity to sneak in a pin right there. But those are kind of all the things that I was going through my head coming into this match. But then we got what we got. I'm fine with it. Sol Ruca, I mean, Sol Ruca deserves all of these opportunities she's getting. She's a great talent. She's got a phenomenal look. Kids seem to love her, and really just about every like demographic of wrestling fans seems to love her, from kids all the way up to old folks like Kelly. So,
Okay, Mister.
well,
Okay.
I had to throw it in there.
She is probably slightly under half my age. Thanks for
Probably.
ruining my night.
Hey,
Guys, it's been great. I'm
no
Kelly
problem.
Wells, and you will
But
never see me again.
but I mean, not to then I don't mean to knock Zarya either by any stretch of the imagination, because I think she's also a great talent. But um, I mean, to her point, she's kind of right. She hasn't been given the opportunities to shine as much as Sol Ruca. So, and I think if given the opportunity, there's a good chance that she may. So I'm interested to see where this story goes. They're kind of keeping me on my toes with it. Even though it has been going on for so long now, and there have been points where I've been kind of like, all right, let's get on with it. Kind of when we were thinking that they were just going to like maybe forget all about this angle altogether. Those are kind of the low points in this. But other than that, I'm still entertained by this feud. And I think that's kind of the case overall. Like you said, even though there was an NXT championship match in the mid-main event, semi-main event, mid-show main, that was the word I was looking for, it middle of the show. This match was what should have main evented the show, hands down.
Yeah, and a villain's origin story only works if they think they're right, and and this one would really work because both sides have a reason to believe that they are right. So I dig what they're doing. So
Indeed,
they promoted this throughout the show. They had Zaruka with a scene early on, and Zarya really laying it on thick about how Ruka's had tons of opportunity, and then they had Ren QCC just gassing each other up and saying, "Hey, if you get it, you get it." It's that simple. So I really like that touch. Fatal Influence earning their appearance fee by showing up 30 seconds before CW News came on. But yeah, I dug what they did, and yeah, I'm still not sick of the story. I'm actually amused by it. Somebody said in the chat something that I said a few weeks ago, like, "What if they made up and it was just over?" And I think that would be hilarious. And that's essentially what Fraxium did. They were breaking up for 8 weeks, and then they didn't. So that there is there is precedent for that. So
I
I don't
finally
know.
found the comment. I put it up. There we go.
Yes, Ryan Solorio saying, "Imagine the breakup never happens. They just forgive each other." LOL. Yeah, they for a while that's kind of what they were doing, but you knew one of them eventually wouldn't. And early on, they told a story that made it look like they were going to try out Sol Ruka to the point that I think they were going to try out Sol Ruka as a heel, which I think is gutsy, but we've seen it work with people we didn't think it would work with. So I'm not against that, but I think that maybe an audible was called and they decided, okay, this is probably, let's get Zarya to where she maybe should have been all along, and do that. I'm going to say lots of nice things about tonight's show because I really, really liked it. So let's get to your crossover match: Joe Hendry versus Jackson Drake. Opening of the show was Hendry's state of the NXT or whatever, talking about being champion, just basic white meat baby face stuff. The Vanity Project showed up and took numbers on him, and it was clear that we would get a match in the future. I did not know the future would be 1 hour later, but it was. Hendry, of course, beats Jackson Drake, who is just a great bump machine for him. Just pinballed all over the ring for him. 11 minutes and 11 seconds, make a wish. Joe Hendry beats Jackson Drake with the standing ovation, he calls it. And Ricky Saints showed up. I don't know why these attacks always happen to happen in hoodies and be secretive for just a second. That is just something they are overdoing right now. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be secretive, but it looked like they were trying to hide it for just a second and get that. Whatever. But Ricky Saints obviously looking like he's going to be the next challenger. But Hendry over Drake 11-11. I really dig what Drake and the entire Vanity Project are doing, and we're going to talk about them shortly in a match that was 8 seconds longer than this one. But Hendry over Drake, Hendry as champion, Ricky Saints getting involved, all of that, Nate.
Before I go there, I want to go back to this by Pile Driver Pete in the chat. Zarya should destroy Sol, keep Sol Ruka off TV for a little while, and then debut her on the main roster. Zarya remains in NXT as a monster. I think that's the best way they end this feud. So yeah, just wanted to give credit where credit's due there because that's a great idea. Yeah, so Joe Hendry, like you said, starts the show. Vanity Project comes out. I absolutely love what they're doing with Vanity Project, and I mean Jackson Drake, for somebody who's 22 years old, carries himself like a champion, almost. I want to say almost in the vein of like the Miz. He's got that same type of annoying charisma that the Miz does. I think all the members of Vanity Project do, but Jackson Drake absolutely stands out, at least so far, and obviously they want him to stand out amongst the other two in the group, but so far he definitely is the standout. So yeah, going into the match, I wasn't necessarily expecting to see Joe Hendry immediately defending his title here tonight, 1 week after winning it. But hey, fighting champion, I'm good with that. So going into the match, you knew what was going to happen. You knew that Vanity Project was going to try and interfere and cost Joe Hendry the title and things like that. It was a little bit predictable in that sense, but still a great match, and I think Vanity Project got a lot of heat in that match. And I don't mean just swipe right on the outside. I mean all of the Vanity Project. I don't even know if they're referring to Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes as Vanity
They're
Project
not
anymore.
I think that's a
Swipe
big
right, rather.
miss.
Me too.
I think that's a great tag team name. Maybe the fear is that term won't age well, which I get because things in social media change on a dime. So maybe swipe right won't make sense in a
Yeah,
year.
but swipe
But
right's
it's
been a
so
thing
good.
for
I
that's
know.
been a dating thing for over like a decade at this point.
Yep. If they're listening, and we know that some of them are, then I'm saying, yeah, swipe right, great name, keep it.
Yeah, same, 100%. And maybe one day they're going to break Jackson Drake away, and they'll, rather than calling them D-Generation X, they'll call them the New Age Outlaws again, something like that. But well, I guess they always call them New Age Outlaws, but whatever. I digress. You get my point.
Not always. They were rockabilly first.
Well, I mean after they joined DX. Before they joined
by
DX,
that,
rockabilly and the roadie. Yeah. I'm talking after they joined DX. But anyway, what the hell was I talking about? We're talking about Road Dogg. I don't know how we got here. Jackson Drake, Joe Hendry.
Yeah, save me from Road Dogg.
So yeah, like I said, coming into the match, you knew it was going to happen. Joe Hendry, going to retain. He's not going to just win the title for a week, unless they wanted to get some massive heat. But as much as I am in favor of Jackson Drake and his push and everything, I don't think he's probably in the place to represent the company, even if it is, or the brand rather, even if it is a short-term thing. And I really don't want to see the belt short-term, go to Joe Hendry, go back to Jackson Drake, and then presumably back to Hendry or somebody else in a really quick, amount of time. So yeah, really good match. One of the only notes that I took. Oh, actually, sorry, there was another note that I took here, but one of the only notes that I did take was that Jackson Drake is friggin' good. The other note that I took on this was so I watched this match on Netflix, and I pay for the tier that I don't get commercials during the break. So, and I know a few other people in the chat do. I feel like, and obviously I only watched this match once, but I feel like if you watch this match like me on Netflix, or you watch this match on CW with commercials, you may have had a bit of a different takeaway from the match, because during the commercial break, as it usually is, the heel is getting on the offense and beating down the babyface, and that was happening here. And I feel like Jackson Drake got so much offense in the televised portions of the match. The more offense that he got more offense for another 3 minutes during the commercial break. It, to me, and even though I am a big believer in Joe Hendry, it just made Joe Hendry feel like, at least maybe a weak champion. So yeah, I don't know. Quick little point that I threw out there, and it's the first time I'd thought about that, because some people watch watch without commercials. It's a small percentage of people, but yeah, I'm wondering how many matches are like that now, where that experience might be a little bit different based on whether you're watching the commercials or the match.
It's funny you bring that up. I brought up the commercials earlier on because in the Parker versus Monroe match, we basically saw no Monroe offense, like almost none. Parker just dominated it completely.
It all happened during the commercial break.
No doubt that Monroe dominated the commercial break.
Yeah,
but
and she did.
What we saw, unbelievable. I got to call out this one by Goodfella. In the chat, he said, opening promo, I thought Jackson Drake powered through the rowdy crowd on the mic, acknowledged them, moved on. Kudos to him. Absolutely. I'm so glad that Goodfella brought this up. This was, this crowd wanted to chant what? A couple of different times, and the workers just shut them the hell down. They were too good to fall into that trap. So really good stuff going on in NXT, and then them getting through that. Jackson was very good on the mic, and not just backstage. He's gotten to the point where he can be out there in front of the crowd doing a really great job. So yeah, Jackson, good stuff tonight. Let us go right into Vanity Project, which should be swipe right anyway. Defeating Hank and Tank in 11-19. I'm not going to mince words. I think this is the best match both of them have had on TV. I loved this
100%.
match. And this match could have been one that I like. if I had known this match was happening, I might have actually dreaded it. And it was so good. Hank was so much better than I can ever remember him being. And Hank is fine. But tonight he was just a monster. He was a beast. And he was hitting stuff I haven't seen him hit. His fire was awesome. His fire is usually good. Tank's fire is always good, and it was great tonight. Vanity Project just Mr. Perfecting and Shawn Michaelsing all over the ring for them, just bumping all over for them. I love what both of these teams did. Vanity Project win, which wouldn't make sense except they were, by winning this, they were added and it was made a fatal 4-way match with them, Hank and Tank, OTM, and The Calling next week. And it won't be fun to type that match out, but it'll be fun to watch, hopefully. But yes, Vanity Project over Hank and Tank in 11-19. I just adored every second of this, and might as well wrap that state of the tag team division segment into this. I kind of like when they do this, and they have to do this every now and then, where they realize they've been a little bit weak on pushing the tag team division. And they haven't had a lot of tag team championship matches. It's easy to forget the Dark State are the tag champions because they haven't been doing anything with them. So they had all the tag teams come out and talk about how they all want these championships and everything like that. So I dig when they do this every now and then, every handful of months. I think this is not such a bad thing to do. Let me hit you with Goodfella again. Hank's Boss Man Slam was almost murder. LOL. Yes. I wrote the word beautiful, and I do that every now and then for moves that just absolutely stun me. And I said that was a beautiful Boss Man Slam. It was just, there was a lot of hang time, and he was hitting it on the right guy. It's a guy who knows how to take bumps, and he's built to fly through the air and get mauled. That's how it is with both these guys. But Hank, just an absolutely glorious Boss Man Slam, and I loved the Boss Man. So happy to see him carry on that tradition. So Vanity Project over Hank and Tank in just a lovely match, and the tag team division getting a lot of shine tonight in general, Nate.
So I'm going to do it again. Before I touch it, I'm going back to another comment that I missed. Ryan Slurry in the chat says, by the way, since the ref saw swipe right throw Hendry into the steps, shouldn't Jackson have lost by DQ? Yes, he should have, but he didn't. But that was my immediate thought when that happened, and but it must be the referee's discretion. That's the way they'll get out of that one, I guess. I don't know.
In New Japan, they have different referees, and the referees are actually characters in the sense that they will let more things go or not, those specific referees, so they can make sure a certain match happens in front of a certain referee in order to get the outcome they want.
That's such a great idea.
It is, and I would love to see some of that in American wrestling.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Lil Nate, I feel like he'd be a little crooked. I don't know why. I just do. Anyway, what the hell did we throw to?
Tag team division.
Tag team stuff. Hank and Tank, Vanity Project. I think this was my favorite match of the night. Which is crazy to say because I still feel like Hank and Tank, even though they were tag team champions, I still feel like they're pretty low on the totem pole. And Vanity Project, they are pretty low on the totem pole, or swipe right low on the totem pole, even lower on the totem pole than the entirety of Vanity Project. But that said, all four guys, they really went into it on this. A ton of energy, a ton of explosiveness. Coming into this match, I had a feeling we were going to see Swipe Right win and get put into that triple threat. It kind of felt like when that triple threat match was made, I kind of was like, what about Swipe Right? I feel like they're perfect to throw in there right now. And then this angle happened, so I guess I don't know. I guess I'm a good booker or something. I have no idea. Um, but um, but yeah, like I said, I think this is my favorite match of the night. They did a great job. And I think this was the right amount of offense for Swipe Right to get. It was enough to showcase what they can do. And like you said, I think this was probably their best match on TV. I haven't really seen what they've done in Evolve, but this is the best match that I've seen out of the two of them, at least in NXT. I've seen more of Ricky Smokes on the Indies here in New England, but at least in NXT by far. Um, and I know Ricky Smokes can go even harder than he has because I've seen him do it. Um, what the hell is this? Oh, right, Hank and Tank, and Hank and Tank took enough offense. Sorry, um, took enough of Swipe Right's offense where they didn't, they still were believable as the kind of more veteran and bigger tag team. So I think overall it was booked really well, and certainly helps kind of advance that tag team division story. Um, the other segment with Dark State, the culling, um, uh, it. I mean, I don't know. Like you said, they have to do segments like this from time to time to get all of the different tag teams to, or even individuals. Doesn't always need to be tag teams. Could just be individuals. How many times have we seen 6 people come out consecutively to lay claim to a title? Um, and we saw it again here tonight. It may be a necessary evil, but I mean, couldn't we have a backstage segment or something? I don't know. To me, this segment felt a little flat and boring because we see it so often in different incarnations, but we see the same segment so often with the people essentially saying the same things. Um,
I have love-hate relationship with this. So I hate it when it's just a go-home show and they're like, okay, we have to get everybody on screen together somehow, so we do this. But I like it a lot when they realize, okay, we have been kind of bitching out on pushing this whole tag team division and we have to reestablish it. And so as a reestablishment, um, I like it as a go home just because we have to get them all on the screen together. I feel like it's wedged in and forced. So I don't know. I liked it
yeah,
because it was not, they're not pushing, although now we know that they were pushing towards a specific match, but we didn't know that yet at the time. We found that out like half an hour later.
yeah. No. I mean, and that you know, it makes sense. And like you said, I mean, I wouldn't say I have a love hate. I think I probably more hate it than love it, but it is kind of a necessary evil in trying to book things and whatnot. So and it is a good way of progressing the story sometimes. And I think tonight was one of those cases. So it's fine. It's passable. I'm nitpicking. I'm nitpicking. Um, but yeah, I'd like to see OTM, maybe not, if they don't win the titles, I'd like to see them get a little bit time to shine here because they've been off TV for so long, and the crowd is clearly behind them. I mean, they went nuts after the lights came back on after that. They went out and the whole Dark State light show happened, and then it was OTM standing in the crowd. Um, so yeah, just want to say that I really think OTM deserves, um, if not winning the titles, deserves a time in the spotlight to shine.
Nate, because we have time, because I'm wearing a wrestling shirt, I want to ask you, how many wrestling shirts do you own?
Oh man, without going upstairs to look, between probably 5 and 7.
I have 3. I only have 3. I like wrestling more than anything in the world, and I've owned more than this.
Well, and
I had a Bret Hart. In my graduating class, I won class individualist. They made up the class individualist category that year, and I won it. And then the next year, my best friend won it, and the next year, my brother won it. So just keeping it in the family at the for a while.
Brotherhood of the Traveling T-shirt.
And I was wearing my Bret the Hitman Hart muscle shirt, which looked ridiculous on me because I weighed like 130 pounds. But that's why I wore it. I did that to do that. I had a Bret. I got a Shawn. So I guess in some way I'm a hypocrite because those guys don't get along. I've got a Shawn. I got a Rey Mysterio, and can you guess the third that I've got right now?
Dakota Kai.
Yes, it is. It is Dakota Kai.
All right. Hell yeah.
Showed up too small, which is to say, I may have showed up too big.
Well,
yeah,
you know.
I can put it on, but it doesn't fit me real nice. But I do have a Dakota Kai shirt. So
okay.
There you go.
I have.
I have.
So okay, I have 2 Cactus Jack shirts, but one of them I don't wear because it's
lovely.
actually one of them signed by Mick Foley, so I don't wear.
Do you
that
have
one.
Wanted Dead?
Yeah, the Wanted Dead, like actual.
I should have that shirt. I just don't.
Yeah, the Wanted Dead Cactus Jack shirt. I have 2 of those, one signed, one not. I've got a DIY shirt, Joe Hendry, a Brody Lee memorial shirt, and I also have. He wore it very briefly, but it was a shirt I bought I think it was actually the first time I went to a wrestling show, the night Mick Foley won the title, Stone Cold's gym, and it's got a skull with a dumbbell being broke from the teeth. And I wore that shirt until it literally disintegrated as a kid. And I then bought a new one online on eBay. Somebody found one brand new mint, like in their attic, and so they sold it. I have it, and it's now upstairs. But anyway, wrestling shirts.
Yeah, shirts. I love them.
Yeah.
You know, I wear them almost all the time. All right, your opening match was Jada Parker versus Blake Monroe. Jada got she got one of those inset promos like backstage. She's so good. Nate, I've got to get a Jada Parker t-shirt is what I got to do. This match went 901, and I knew this would continue, but they went with the double countout, which is not something that modern wrestling does, but I really, really think they should do it more often. Not crazy often, but I think they should do it more often. But yeah, Jada and Blake going to a time, not time limit, double countout at 901, and both getting a lot of great character work. Jada especially is just absolutely killing it right now with just who she is, knowing who she is in that ring. Just getting all cocky even when she's got Blake trapped and things like that. I love what both of them are doing. I think they are getting better working with each other, and I think the sky is very rosy for both of them. I think Jada's very, very close to a call up. I think she would have been called up already if she hadn't had some injuries, but I think all will be forgiven because she's getting better while she's down there. Just kind of a lucky break, unlucky/lucky break that she got injured because she's doing really cool stuff. And then Blake, it's a weird spot for her. We need some more backstage segments for her. But Ryan Solorio in the chat says, Jada kicking that security guard in the balls is going to be my takeaway from this match. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Jada really smashed some guys a lot. And we don't see a lot of nut shots anymore. But Jada got to do it. So yeah, that was your opener. I really dug this. On a lot of weeks, this would be my match of the week. But Hank and Tank versus Vanity. If you told me what all 5 of these matches were on paper,
yeah, right,
I would have chosen that match last, and it was the match of the night. No doubt about it. Hank and Tank Vanity
100%.
Project. Just zero, like no doubt. But it was a night of good wrestling, and Parker versus Monroe, 901. Nate, go ahead.
All right. Pile Driver Pete, is there a Stone Cold t-shirt that doesn't have a skull on it? Legit question. Well, I happened to go ahead and do some research, and I found one. Stone Cold, the Do Unto Others t-shirt, does not have a skull. It's the only one that I found so far. And I think that's the legit shirt. I don't remember what was actually on the.
Nate just removed himself from the show.
And
Let's,
now I'm back. Oh, I don't know where my spaceship went, but that's fine.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah,
That was
I don't
horrifying.
know. Yeah, I accidentally closed the wrong tab. So yeah, that was weird. But hey, there we go. Okay, now I got my spaceship back. Anyway, Stone Cold. There we go. There was a shirt that doesn't have a skull on it. Blake Monroe and
Nate took a
Jada
stunner,
Parker.
so he was out for a second.
Yeah. Corbin RKO'd me from behind. Our opener, Jada Parker, Blake Monroe. This was a great match. I don't know. I didn't really care for the finish, but I also understand why they did it. I think I just wanted. I don't know. I think I just wanted, from a fan perspective, to see Jada Parker kick Blake Monroe's ass. But obviously, I don't think we're going to get that on free TV. We're probably going to wind up getting that on the next pay-per-view or next named show, or PLE, not pay-per-view, PLE. So yeah, I mean, I understand why they did this finish. Not a huge fan of it, and neither was the crowd. The crowd kept chanting, "Let them fight." I do like the fact that they brought out the officials for the pull apart and all of that. So obviously, that'll kind of play into the amount of heat that this match has going into their inevitable next match, which is probably going to wind up being, false count anywhere or no DQ or something to avoid that happening again. Is probably the story they're going to wind up telling. Put some sort of a stipulation on it so they don't get counted out. But yeah, I really don't have much more to say than you didn't say already, or than you said already. A great match. These two women are absolutely on fire. I do think Blake Monroe probably, like you said, should hang around a little bit more in NXT. But Jada Parker, call her up, call her right up. She is ready, and she's been ready for close to a year at this point, if not longer.
Yeah, I would say longer. Ryan Solorio says, I still think Haruka versus Ren QCC was my match of the night. Ryan, I'm going to need you to watch that match and the other tag match again, and then write an essay
Homework
about why you get to join us next week, why you're even allowed to be here. Then Ryan also said, Austin's DTA shirt doesn't have a skull. Instead, it's a rattlesnake. I can't hear DTA without thinking of Austin saying DTA means don't trust nobody. And I was like, well, no, it can't possibly mean don't trust nobody. Because it's an A. I think about it all the time.
That's such a Stone Cold thing to say too.
It is. And Austin's not a dumb guy. He had to say what he had to say, but instinct took over in the moment. And oh man, that bugged me, the DTA being DTN. But it's not like I'm thinking about it 25, 30 years later, is it? Okay, so you can email us at PWTorchNXT@gmail.com. Kevin Catani says, and I haven't read this yet, so it might not be relevant anymore. Greetings and salutations, gents. I hope this email finds you all well. Boy, there was a lot of shenanigans tonight, eh? I love that there is a commitment to getting lots of performance screen time in various ways, but I think the pendulum might be swinging in the other direction. I love shenanigans. I do. I love them. And I think they're a necessary evil.
Chaos.
Kevin continues.
It's chaos.
That said, it is. Kevin continues. That said, I wanted to know, what are your thoughts on the Sean legacy? I love his social media presence, and I think he's got some great tools. What do you think his floor and ceiling are? Can you see him on the main roster someday? That's all for now. Thanks as always. Go VIP and find something else to listen to now that 8YB is over. Can you, Tom, and senior VIP subscribers, soon to be Brian Alston, transition the show to a movie podcast? Sprinkle in wrestling as necessary? Man, I would love that. I would love that. Office hours are now over. The professor, Kevin P. Catani, PhD. P.S. In case you are looking for a convergence of nerddom, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are coming to Magic the Gathering at the end of February. I mean, convergences of nerddom are what my life is about, and I have quite a few of the Final Fantasy and Spider-Man Magic cards, because literally those are my two favorite things, and they both got cards back to back. That was an expensive time for me. I am trying to read all 900 of the Spider-Man comics, and I'm making good time, by the way.
All right.
And Final Fantasy, I've played everything they've done except for the MMOs, because I don't do MMOs. Sean Legacy, I think his ceiling is nice. I think it is LA Knight-ish.
I go with that.
And there are those who would be like, but LA Knight should be getting pushed higher. And my answer is he isn't, though. So that is where I would say he is. I really liked Sean Legacy's fire on his promo tonight. I thought it was great. And I think that he could be one of those underground guys. Really, I should have gone with Sami Zayn, because he's more of a Sami Zayn type. So that would have made more sense. But I think that is relatively his ceiling. His basement is what he's doing now. It could be that they decide that he flames out. I think that he could finish out here if that's what they think of him, but I think that they know he's better than that. And Legacy's been wrestling a long time, but in the 6 months I've been watching him on Evolve and NXT, he's gotten a lot better. So whatever they're teaching him at the PC, he's picking up. So I wouldn't say the sky's the limit, because he's getting older, and I don't know how much a leopard can change its spots, but I think he's for his age, he's got a pretty high ceiling, Nate.
No, I completely agree. How old is he? I actually don't know.
I don't know, but I'm going to say 34, and I'll look it up while you're talking.
Okay, cool. No, I mean, honestly, like, I think he's got all the potential. Like, but I do kind of agree. I think it's probably like a Sami Zayn, LA Knight, somebody that could potentially maybe wrestle for a world championship, maybe get a token win with it. Like, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but like a Kofi Kingston-esque type of a win.
Only 30.
Okay,
Only
all right.
30.
All right. Yep. So it's still, a little bit older than some that have been called up, like Vanity Project, but yeah, still definitely young enough to have to not even be in his prime yet. We'll put it that way. So yeah, at least from what I see so far, I mean, every time I see him in the ring, he's absolutely incredible. This promo tonight, I think, is probably the best promo that I've seen out of him. So he continues to improve and cut promos like that, and have outings in the ring like he has, like especially last week in that ladder match. Him and Jackson Drake were the two real standouts for me from that ladder match. I think his ceiling is relatively high. At least at this stage, I don't see him necessarily being like, Cody Rhodes or something like that. But he could be maybe down by like the Jey Uso level, or a little lower than that, which is certainly not a bad place to be.
All right. Tatum Paxley, she's creepy. She was in a segment that was black and white. They used a little AI here. They're really messing with stuff. She had AI like thorns coming out of her eyes, and cutting a promo on Easy Dame. We'll talk about that. We might as well roll that in with the fact that they did a promo for the movie Psycho Killer, where they had Psycho Killer sitting in the first row behind
That was
Vic.
the dumbest shit.
That's the weirdest thing I've seen in a while. And
That was
for me,
almost as bad as zombies on NXT.
I think it's. Oh, I don't think it's anywhere near.
That's why I said
But
almost
I
as
also
bad.
I liked the zombies. But like for me, I'm old enough to have seen RoboCop on WCW be an actual character. So for me, there's a high bar, and for weeks in a row, somebody laughing, and it turns out to be Chucky talking about his movie.
Yeah,
I've seen it all. But yeah, Psycho Killer. But yeah, Tatum. Anything on Tatum's segment, if you remember that? I just thought it was very interestingly shot in the water. Don't know what I feel about the use of AI, but might as well get used to it because
it's here.
that BS ain't
So
going away.
yeah, and okay, and to be completely honest with you, I don't necessarily mind the use of AI for something like this. I'd prefer an artist to do it and somebody get paid and whatnot. But if you're going to use it, something like this, where you have some sort of an abstract concept, and that you need to come up with really quickly, but you're not going to be able to practically shoot it in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, something like that, or you don't have the budget to do so or whatever. Something like this is fine. Now, I'm assuming, at least fine with me. I'm assuming the shots of Tatum Paxley kind of underwater and things like that were probably shot in a tank or something. Those didn't look AI or computer generated or anything to me.
I would say her and the doll were all real shots.
Yeah, that's kind of my thinking as well. But AI aside, I really freaking loved this. She talks about how, she didn't have control over her world. Sometimes you can be surrounded by people and feel all alone. And not only is it relatable, but at least to me, but the way that they then shot it, it's all in black and white. She's by herself. She's underwater, which is very isolating in and of itself. And she's talking about being isolated. She's talking about not having her friends, or not having friends, and being stabbed in the back by everybody that she'd ever called a friend, or abandoned, in like the case of Lyra or something like that. Um, the thorns and stuff, like weird. I like I said, I don't mind the use of AI to create something like that, but I also don't necessarily understand what they were going for with the thorns. So whatever. I think it made for an interesting visual, but I'm not sure what the significance of the thorns really were. But overall, I actually really liked this segment with Tatum Paxley. It was different. It's not something that it was like artistic in a way that we don't normally see in wrestling, or at least in WWE. And I kind of liked it. It was different. Um, uh, I'm a huge proponent for Tana Paxley. I think she's got a great upside. She's got a lot of charisma. She had that, week or two long championship run. I'd kind of like to see them maybe get back to that at some point with her. I, I don't know if the company necessarily sees her that way, and I don't know if this character necessarily is a championship level character, but
I
um,
think they do based on the way this was shot.
well, that's kind of
I
what I
would
was just gonna
not.
say.
I would
Yeah,
have said I was not sure a couple days ago, but I think the way that they shot this, they may still think of her that way.
yeah, and that was literally what I was about to say. Is I don't think they would have put the money into going to either a pool or getting a huge tank and going underwater cameras, and that couldn't have been an easy thing to shoot. Even though it was what, a 30-second, 45-second vignette, whatever it was. Um, So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see where Tatum Paxley winds up, but I really liked that. I did not like the Psycho Killer thing. I did think it was kind of, I'm going to say cute when Booker T was like, "He's right behind you. Psycho Killer's right behind you," and Vic went, "Tell me you didn't just say that." Um, and it was kind of like one of those, if you know, you know. I think
I
most
liked
wrestling
it
fans
for all
probably
those
did,
reasons. I
but
thought it was harmless for all those reasons. I can't
yeah.
believe they did it, but I think they pulled it off.
Yeah. I don't know. This kind of felt like the Stranger Things crossover with Raw that they did back a few months ago, a few weeks ago. I don't even know how long ago that was anymore. It feels like an eternity ago, but I think it was like 2 months ago. It was the whole show was branded Stranger Things, but there was nobody that showed up from the show. It was just the Demigorgon or whatever it's called backstage. I didn't really watch the last few seasons, so whatever. But the Demigorgon, whatever, that Adam Pearce barely reacted to, and the beginning of the show, but whatever. It just kind of felt like that. It was in this. It wasn't even branded that way. It wasn't a horror themed show. It was just, oh, hey, Psycho Killer's sitting behind us. All right, back to the show. Weird, out of place, and probably more awkward for the people actually in the building than it was for us.
Pile Driver Pete says Psycho Killer bought his ticket and he's allowed to cheer or boo who he wants.
You're
I
right.
love
There you
this.
go.
I love this comment, and this is the kind of sarcastic BS I'd be posting if I wasn't hosting this. I love that.
Wait, hold
Yeah,
on, hold on.
let's.
Pile Driver Pete, are you actually admitting you're a fan of the ECW Zombie, or are you calling somebody an ECW Zombie fan? Because that's vastly different, and I don't know. I don't know. I gotta find out. Anyway, continue.
I'll take the zombies. They're fine. All right.
No. He's
Deanna
talking. He
Carr.
said ECW Zombie, like the zombie that kicked off the ECW relaunch on
Oh, the
Sci-Fi.
zombie. That you said it.
Yeah,
Yeah, ECWWE zombie.
yeah.
Hmm. Yep.
Pile
That's
Driver Pete. All right, card carrier member of the ECW Zombie fan club. All right. Hey, teach their own. Teach their own.
all
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
Kevin
I
Thorne
like
has been
Stardust,
there too.
so
Yep.
you know.
All right. So what else is left on the show? Cale Dixon and Uriah Connors had their moment, and then they had their next gen group. So Uriah said, "I'm tired of pretending I'm not born into this business," and so yeah, he's fully on board with this new group. And Lexus King said, "There's just one more piece of the puzzle left." Any comment on that?
Charlie Dempsey. Um, so
He
there's
makes the most sense unless they are bringing in David Finley, which I guess they might
I
be, but
no. So I mean, they've already talked to Charlie Dempsey twice or three times at this point. But also the way that he worded it was Uriah Connors worded it was something along the lines of like, our fathers have history. I'll talk to him. I guess you could take it as Fit Finley then, but I'm like 99.9% sure it's Charlie Dempsey.
yeah,
I'd love to see Fit Finley come in and manage that group. That would be absolutely phenomenal, or William Regal for that matter.
yeah.
Though I want William Regal to come back as the GM, not part of that group. But whatever, I'd take William Regal on my screen one way or the other. So, but it's definitely going to be Charlie Dempsey. I I really wish. Well, okay. Let me backtrack. I like the fact that they're kind of doing the whole "if you know, you know" thing by talking about their legacy, their history, the fact that they're second generation wrestlers and whatnot. But I also feel like at some point they probably should actually mention who their fathers are. Now I don't know if they maybe because Brian Pillman they don't want to. Um, and they don't want to bring up his name on TV, but they have brought up his name on TV So
Because of Stax. Because Stax is just standing there nodding his head.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
He's not, yeah.
I'm more saying it for the fans that don't know. You know, I not. I mean, I think most people watching NXT probably know, or will then take the initiative to go look it up if they don't. But there is going to be that subset of fans that are just like, what the hell are they talking about? And wonder that week to week to week. So I don't know. I feel like at some point maybe they need to mention it, like mention it once, and then go back to it being a mystery or something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But all of that said, I love this idea because I mean Uriah Connors, he's good in the ring for what I've seen him do. Granted, he's lost I think every match I've seen him in. But Lexus King, there's definitely something there with him. His wrestling is what it is. Some people like it, some people don't. Call it a little bland or boring or whatever, but he's a good hand in the ring. He's got a great character. He's got the charisma to be just stupidly annoying. So to kind of be the ringleader of this faction of all of these second generation wrestlers and stacks who aren't really doing much, why not make a faction out of it and get these guys over? So I really like this, and I want to see what the change for Uriah Connors is going to be here, because right now we've only seen him as Chase U, bro. So how is he going to turn? What is his character going to be? And that's my biggest kind of wonder right now. But I think we'll probably see that in the next couple of weeks. And I kind of hope this faction gets off the ground a little bit better than Dark State. Although I did like tonight, and I don't know, I don't think we've talked about it, but the few times that Dark State had a couple of backstage segments, and it was the last one that they had, where the white guy, what the hell's his name? I don't know, but whatever.
Cutler James.
Cutler
You know
James,
what? I
you.
had to look up Cutler's name again tonight.
Yeah, I'm
I'd
remembering
had a
most
few
of
weeks
them,
in
but
a
I couldn't
row
remember his.
where I remembered it, and I couldn't remember his. I always remember that it starts with C and it's modern, and
Yeah,
that's all I got. Yep.
yeah. The other three I can remember, but yeah, that one it always seems to escape me. That's the most like normal too out of all of them. But yeah, that one where Cutler James kind of stood up at the end, I think that was probably the best example of character building for Dark State that I've seen so far. They're starting to get individual personalities, and they kind of have to a point, but now they're starting to show them a little bit more. And I really hope that kind of continues for Dark State, because, as I've said a million times at this point, they just showed up. They haven't really done a whole lot to bring anarchy to NXT like they kind of wanted to. So now, like, let's learn a bit more about them and let's get more invested in them, and give us a reason to hate them rather than just saying, "Hey, these guys show up to ruin matches, hate them." So there we go.
Yes, indeed. The only other match on the show was Eli Knight versus Josh Briggs. A few months ago, I thought Josh Briggs was about to be their top heel. He lost this in 205 to Eli Knight. And Elio Lafleur gave him a handshake afterwards. That's Eli Knight. And then Jasper Troy beat them both up. Jasper Troy making the rare appearance in the ring, because normally he's just in pre-taped segments and stuff like that. So yeah, good for them. They're doing something with this championship that I think that they will drop within the next year, but they're doing something within it now. Knight over Briggs. Knight to me seems like somebody that they brought him in cold, threw him into matches. He's a nice wrestler, and now I'm trying to think of his face, and I'm thinking of guys who are not him. I can't think of Eli
It's
Knight.
funny that you say that, because the first thing that I was about to say was, every time I think of Eli Knight, my brain pops up a picture of LA Knight. He was Eli Drake. He's LA Knight. Eli Knight. That should be,
And I think of
you know,
Kevin Knight, who he's a similar wrestler to, kind of. And Kevin Knight wrestles in New Japan / AEW. Yeah, that was a terrible name to give a guy if you want him to have his own identity.
yeah. And I don't know, maybe they'll change it at some point and they'll kind of realize it's too similar, either too similar to LA Knight or whatever. I don't know. There was a time they would have had like AJ Styles change his name when AJ Lee came back, or vice versa, and they didn't do that. So I don't know, whatever. But Ricky Saints, Ricky Smokes, whatever. But wow, I did it again. What the hell were we just talking about? I have a lot on my mind. I had a
Eli
lot on my
Knight.
mind this week. Eli Knight. That's right. That's what we were talking about. So I really liked this match. I haven't seen a whole lot out of Eli Knight, and obviously there's only 3 minutes or whatever. But but I with and I think this might be one of the reasons we're seeing Eli Knight showcased a bit more on NXT is Javon Evans is gone. Leon Slater hasn't been on the show, and he is somebody that reminds me of both of them from what I've seen so far. He's he's got a lot of great moves, very similar build. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe that's part of the reason that he got called up, is to kind of maybe fill that void that Javon Evans left in NXT. Or see if he can fill that void. That said, I enjoyed the match. I'm not Josh Briggs, he's there. He's not my favorite. He's not the worst. I guess maybe what I felt like about Baron Corbin is kind of how I feel about Josh Briggs, and I think a lot of people probably understand what I mean there.
He is so much better than Baron Corbin.
I mean, I will agree with you there, but I don't know, he falls into that role in my head, it's
the same role, but he's a lot better at it.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. I like the fact Eli Knight got this. That way we'll get to see him versus Elio LaFleur next week. I think it was a nice touch to have Elio come out and congratulate him. I feel like that's the honorable luchador thing to do. Is come out and congratulate and wish your opponent luck. So I think that was a nice touch. Also to get him on TV to keep him fresh in people's minds. Jasper Troy, we haven't actually, like you said, we haven't actually seen him outside of backstage vignettes or pre-tapes or anything like that. So good to see him in the ring and kind of come in and be of a bit of a hoss towards the end of this match, building up to the end of the speed tournament where either Knight or LaFleur will face him. So yeah, don't have much more to say here. I do have to say I like what Eli Knight is bringing to the table so far, at least in the ring. How you might, I don't know, you might have seen more of him in Evolve. How is he on the mic?
I have not seen much more of him on Evolve. They fast tracked him. So what you're seeing is very, very similar to what I've seen.
Right. If anybody in the chat has an opinion, let me know.
Yeah, they moved him up quick. Okay, the other things we haven't talked about all involve Robert Stone. He had a nice scene with Keanu Carver where he had to be like, "Oh yeah, do whatever you want." A scene with Lola Vice where he offered her the chance to leave the match with Kalani Jordan, and then Kalani Jordan attacked her bad hand. He talked to Ethan Page and Shiloh Hill. That resulted in a match next week that I truly believe Shiloh Hill could win. But that is in part because A, my belief in Shiloh Hill, and B, my belief that Ethan Page should have been on the main roster yesterday. And he also told Miles Bourne to do something out of character. So lots of stuff that Robert Stone was involved with. That was kind of an accident that all the last things I left were Robert Stone involved, but he was in all those scenes. Nate Lindberg, he is no longer trying to be the manager to Von Wagner.
No, he's not. I couldn't think of his name the other day. I was talking about Mr. Stone to Jobin, and I was like, oh yeah, well, he was kind of entertaining as Mr. McEyebrow's manager, and I could not think of the name Von Wagner for the life of me. Eventually, it came to me at like 3 o'clock in the morning, lying in bed. No, so first off, I don't mind Mr. Stone in this role. I'd say I like it. I think I'd probably, I don't know. I just want William Regal so bad. So nobody is going to be William Regal to me, but whatever. But at least for what he's doing so far, it's not bad. I do like the fact that he's showing a little bit of fear, like to Keanu Carver, and kind of backed off and just was like, yep, whatever you want. And, showed that he was afraid of him. And kind of also showing that, I'm going to say, greenness. He's not quite sure what to do. He's like, I'm still new here. Like, what, whose toes? The way that I felt about it tonight was like, what toes? I don't want to step on anybody, like Shawn Michaels' toes or anything like that. So yeah, so far I like it. You know, you were talking about, with Shiloh Hill, that segment with Shiloh Hill and Ethan Page. I was going to say, even before you mentioned Ethan Page getting called up to the main roster, I think that's probably what is going to wind up happening. If Shiloh Hill does win the title off of Ethan Page, I think we're going to see Ethan Page up on the main roster sooner rather than later. Him and Chelsea Green just lost the AAA Mixed Tag Team Championships to Lola Vice and Mr. Guano over the weekend. I think it was over the weekend. At some point between last PWT Talks NXT and this one.
Yeah, they mentioned it was Lola Vice. They didn't mention Mr. Iguana. I feel like that would be a match worth seeing.
Right?
Totally idiotic, but super fun.
Yeah, actually, I do want to go back and see if I can find that match between Chelsea Green, Ethan Page, Lola, and Mr. Ghana, because that probably was a great match, or at least super entertaining, if nothing else. But Chelsea Green has publicly said that she is politicking to get Ethan Page up on the main roster. Ethan Page is ready. I mean, he was ready by the day he showed up in NXT to go to the main roster. I mean, he was in AEW and everything before that. You guys all know that, whatever. So I mean, he was pretty much ready to go by the time he got there. So get him up to the main roster. Shiloh Hill, people seem to love this guy. I do. Kelly does. I'm pretty sure all of you guys do, or the majority of you guys in the chat do. So I am like, I don't know. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see Shiloh get the belt, bring the belt back to its burgundy color, because that's my favorite version of this belt. And and he gets a bit of a push, and Ethan Page goes up to main roster with Chelsea Green, where he belongs. So yeah, Miles Bourne. That's the last thing that I wanted to talk about. Is I'm really, really interested to see what that thing is that he shouldn't do, or I forget what was it that Mr. Stone says, like, go and do something about it or whatever.
Do something.
Do something you wouldn't normally do, or out of character, or
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, I'm curious to see what that is, because Miles Bourne's always been the straight man. I mean, he's had a couple jokes here and there, but he's always been on babyface and everything. I'm curious to see how he plays off, either as a heel or a bit more of a babyface with an edge. I don't know if they're going to necessarily turn him heel, like, fully, or if they're going to kind of try and give him more of an edge, something like that. Kind of like we were talking about with Kalani Jordan before they fully pushed her heel. She was kind of still a babyface, but she had a bit of an edge. I don't know what that thing's going to be that's out of character for him, but I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
That, I believe, is our show, because we talked about Miles Bourne, and that was the last thing I had. For February 10th, 2026, talking talking NXT. I will just say that this feels like such a new era. So many people went up, and I feel like we're watching a new show in some ways. No obvious place to say that, but that is really what I think.
Yeah, and I said
good
the
stuff.
same. I basically said the same thing. It was either last week or the week before when I was with Kevin. I forget. But with everybody, with all of the roster shifts and everything, NXT is very cyclical in that way. And Kelly and I have been through many eras of NXT, and yeah, it definitely does feel like we're kind of in that next phase. Probably, that it's probably going to last for about a year and a half or so, and then we'll be back here again.
There you go. I'm sporting my HBK shirt, so I'm on board with whatever they're doing. Ryan Slorio says, "Did you guys see the WWE AI video with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?" No, I didn't. I'm not on the lookout for AI videos at all, but I will check it out. So I will find out. Steve Repture says still no hint of the next PLE. But they said that the Roadblock PLE would be mid to late March. March will be interesting for me because I leave for Dallas for 5 days, come home for 2 days, and then leave for Ireland for 9 days. So, Nate, you're going to need a hell of a lot of help in March because I will be largely out of the country, which is something I have never been. So
we both might because I'll be moving. So we'll see.
Oh, right.
March will be interesting. March will be interesting. But WWE Roadblock coming March 31st at Madison Square Garden. It looks like.
Okay, I should be able to cover that because I believe I will be back from Ireland by then. But yes, looking forward to that. So that I believe is our show. Nate, I think I did all the things I'm supposed to do to end the show. So
I'm Nate Lindberg and Horseshoe.
I love you. Yes.
I love you too.
Cheers.